In this segment, Stephanie Miller welcomes Bob Sessa to the show. Together, the two discuss the hugely significant developments in a New York City courtroom this past week. How big a deal is this for Trump, and is bankruptcy a possibility? Here's Stephanie with more.
And by the way, Trump's looking for a new lawyer, which is weird, Bob, to do his C. Jean Carroll appeal. I don't know why she did such a good job.
He only hires the best people, you see.
Exactly, all the best.
All the
As
best.
long as they have chunky blonde highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the trap. He puppeteers all of his lawyers, and then when they puppeteer for him, he fires them because they're incompetent. And he's like, why are they so incompetent?
And they don't get paid, and the career is ruined. It's just, anyway.
I mean, they're doing exactly what he's asking them to do. Exactly the sorts of ridiculous stuff. I mean, John Sauer, before the D.C. Circuit, was arguing exactly what Donald Trump says at his rallies. I have the greatest polls. I'm so popular, and I'm the most popular man in the world. I mean, it's what he's been saying in the context of Taylor Swift, too.
Oh, I'm more popular. I'm more popular than she.
Yeah.
And he's vowed a holy war against her. And
right,
I thought,
and then when that fails, he's like, "Oh, you're fired. I can't use you anymore."
I mean, Jojo from Jurors said, MAGA doesn't believe it's possible for a pop star to be dating a football player whose team is going to the Super Bowl, but they do believe that Donald Trump was found liable of sexual assault, defamation, and business fraud for them. And that's how you know it's a cult. I mean, and I was saying to Karen from Chicago, Bob, about how this is a larger issue. This is just a woman-hating party led by a rapist who has taken away women's bodily autonomy. If you and I have to tell people why they need to vote, I don't know what to say anymore.
Right. And just looking in on what's happening among the Red Hat Entertainment complex, we're only a matter of, I would say, months away from one of these guys starting to say, hey, you know what? Spousal abuse should be legal. We should be able to do that because women, this is what the Bible says about women. I mean, they're going down that road with pilots right now, whether it's black pilots or women pilots. I mean, heaven forbid Candace Owens be on a flight with another black woman pilot. I mean, she lost her mind on her show.
Oh God, yeah. So you get, you get her to be, you get someone to be, what you call it, racist. Charlie Kirk's. Oh, if there's a black pilot, you get her to be sexist against women. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, Bob. I don't. Johnny.
Yeah, again, it's a business model. When you build your brand around this kind of nonsense,
misogyny is just it's the core of their, their whole party now. I mean, Johnny tweets, they cried about Barbie empowering women. They cried about the Little Mermaid being black. They cried about Taylor Swift being powerful. I'm not talking about little kids with attitudes. I'm talking about grown ass men. Pathetic.
Yeah.
I mean, they call us snowflakes, right?
Yes, and it's as if just now they're realizing that, as I was saying before, that pop culture is something that tends to be, I mean, people who are in the arts tend to have a more progressive mindset and worldview. Yeah. And it's like they're just now realizing it. It's how could this possibly be? And so this is adding into the list the gigantic slag heap of grievances that they're constantly building, that Donald Trump is constantly fueling.
Rick tweeted Wednesday, oozes testosterone on the Stephanie Miller Show, an extravaganza of thoughtful, non-hating Taylor Swift men. Time to let the love flow. I mean, what is, Bob, this national psychosis? We just played, obviously, Colin Cowherd talking about it, that, and we keep saying it is sort of hilarious for those of us that mock the right wing MAGA for a living, but it is deeply sad and troubling, too, right?
Yeah. It's the American nervous breakdown. I've been talking about that for some time now. Our collective cheese is falling off of our collective cracker, and what's the tragic and awful thing about this too is there are brands being built around this kind of insanity. There's business models being built around it, and that's kind of what fuels this. I mean, when you talk about people like Jack Posobiec and Charlie Kirk and those guys, I mean, it's a show for money and cash and selling merch and all the rest of it. But the thing, I guess what's bubbling under the surface too is this confluence of toxic male sports fandom combining with toxic male political fandom. And it's creating this perfect storm that's barreling right toward Taylor Swift and the people who like Taylor Swift. Yeah. And it's, as Chris was saying earlier, it's immensely dangerous because you don't know what they're capable of. And I'm in this mindset right now because I've been watching Fargo season 5, which is,
Oh my God, it's so good.
it really is
Stop yelling.
good. And John Hamm's character
Yes.
is like an embodiment of this kind
Speaking
of
of
libertarian,
Big D energy.
far right, white supremacist, misogynistic, woman beating.
He
all
is
this
so
stuff.
evil.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen
Immensely
it.
evil.
Yes.
But yeah, you retweeted David Frum, who said, "Countdown begins to the House Republican impeachment of Taylor Swift." We joke, but like, would they might do a censure? Who knows? I mean, there's people, serious adult men, saying that it's a Pentagon psyop to get Biden reelected. I mean,
it's like there's a whole generation of wingnuts who are finally now realizing that most of people who are in the arts tend to be liberal, vote Democratic, and that's the way it's always been. I've always wondered, like, what is it like to be a far-right conservative in America and not have really any significant pop culture people in your corner?
Oh, wait.
And I think a lot of these guys, especially guys like Charlie Kirk, are just like, oh my God, are you serious? We only have Kid Rock and Scott Baio? Is that all that's left?
They said that like it was a
good thing.
brag. They said
We got
so
Ted
what?
Nugent and John
We've got
Boyd.
Ted
John
Nugent.
Boyd.
Rachel Bittencofer, who I stole from you because we've been exchanging bodily fluids
He's the
and
best,
humans
yeah.
since 1900. Yeah. But, we ask this question all the time, right? How do you get the half of the country to vote that doesn't vote? How do you get young people? Well, Taylor Swift, this is somebody on Fox talking about this is why they're losing it. Hang on.
We have had enough of Taylor Swift for now, but here's the facts.
Have we?
Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, and now there's an online plea circulating that is begging people to become Niners fans for the next 2 weeks. Just so it doesn't raise Travis Kelce, a.k.a. Mr. Pfizer's star power, along with, of course, Taylor Swift, because it is so scary. There was a recent poll. 1/5 of Taylor Swift fans said they would back whichever candidate that she endorsed.
Oh my God.
That's causing the collective knitting of pants.
Oh my God. Yes.
On the right.
I go back to that line from Stripes, lighten up, Francis.
Yeah.
I mean, this is,
No kidding.
I mean, talk about turning a nothing into a gigantic thing. She's just a sports, she just likes the Chiefs, for God's sake.
Your boyfriend plays
not
for them.
Right, she's not pointing and laughing at your tiny penises. This is not happening. She's just
That should be the
into
halftime show.
football team. Oh my God, that'd be great. Can we have that Super Bowl halftime show where just Taylor Swift goes around and laughs at everyone's small penis?
That's Charlie Kirk's penis.
Oh, I would
Yeah.
love
Charlie
that
Kirk's
so.
penis.
Wearing a
God.
Biden 24 t-shirt.
You know what? I don't even think she has to endorse anybody like that.
Yeah.
She really probably shouldn't, quite
Please.
honestly.
She already did. She already said she voted for Biden. People lose their shizzle. I love just exposing the Republican Party for exactly who they are. This ridiculous Mayorkas impeachment and them Trump stopping actual immigration reform, what they're impeaching him for. Here's Dan Goldman.
The irony of the fact that Secretary Mayorkas has spent the last 2 months plus with a bipartisan group of senators negotiating legislation that would address the problems at the border should not be lost on anyone. You are sitting here right now trying to impeach a Secretary of Homeland Security for neglecting his duties literally while he is trying to perform his duties and negotiate legislation.
I just say, I feel like the Republicans are more exposed than ever because it's all out there. People know there's not going to fix the border because Trump told them not to, because he wants the issue. And it's, even a normal person is like, oh, it's a crisis of epic proportions. It's an emergency, but it can wait until Trump's in office, right?
This is performance art for the fan base who wants to seek revenge against all the Democrats who impeached Donald Trump twice, with good cause, by the way.
Yeah.
And so they're just randomly going after other people just because they want to do that. and that's what helps them the most. So this is nonsense. They don't have the votes. I don't think that any of these impeachment proceedings are going to actually succeed because the balance of power in the House is so narrow. They're going to have to get a whole bunch of moderate Republicans who are in Joe Biden districts, et cetera, to vote for this thing, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it. So this is. But the point is, they want to be able to go home and say, "We tried to impeach Mayorkas." We suddenly
Also,
all
Bob,
the fanboys are in line.
As the official economist of the Stephanie Miller Show,
That's funny.
I give out titles like Skittles.
You do.
You tweeted Trump, recession, Bush 43, recession, Bush 41, recession, Reagan, recession, Nixon, Ford, recession, Eisenhower, recession, Hoover, depression. Since 1933, GDP growth under Democratic presidents, 4.6%. GDP growth under Republicans presidents, 2.4%. If you want the economy, vote Republican. I mean, I don't know what else we can do to take this issue back, Bob, when some polling still shows, I think Trump's better on the economy, when, oh my God, he lost the first president to lose jobs since Hoover. And you look at Biden's record on everything. I don't, with no help from the mainstream media, what's your advice? Backs out on whatever platforms we can.
Right. Repeat. Because
Rinse,
this is
lather,
a myth
repeat.
that the Republicans are the party of fiscal responsibility and all that. It's utter, complete nonsense. What happens with stewardship of the economy is Democrats invariably have a whole set of things that they can do that they know actually functions as far as growing the economy, whereas Republicans just go back to the same couple of things. Tax cuts and deregulation, and that never works. It's like they're trying to achieve something separate from actually, growing the economy. And so consequently, you have a series of Republican presidents who with the last 100 years, Republican presidents have always been in office when there's a recession. And that's
Bob,
something we need to get out there.
To Rachel Bidecoffer's point that she said on your fantastic podcast, being that you are the best interviewer in America.
Uh-huh.
Oh, thank you.
Pause.
I tried.
What about how tribal they are? Why we shouldn't worry about, approval ratings, because she was saying Republicans, the day Biden was inaugurated, said the economy sucks now.
Yeah.
So they're never going to say anything's good under, they're like, oh, everything was better under Trump. Oh, Eric, look at all these interviews with maggots. You're like, what?
They have, the great irony is, first of all, they're not winning. The other great irony about that is they're solely all about winning, and they don't care what is required to get to that end game, to get to that win. They'll use anything in their toolbox to be able to get to that point, whether it's lying or making stuff up or making themselves out to be something that they're not. This is Trump's whole thing, certainly, but the broader Republican Party is all about that, relying on failed policy ideas, failed ideology, things that just don't work, but they keep going back to that simply because they think it gets them to a victorious election season. And what we're seeing now, again, is a lot of losses in a row, as people like Simon Rosenberg will remind us.
Speaking of tools, toolboxes and giant tools, one of the best tools to dismantle this march to fascism and keep our democracy is the Bob Cesca Show.
It is.
At sexyliberal.com, which is essential